I just want to give you a bit of an insight into the AFL Enjoyers team. We're a bunch of unique individuals, Matsa, Sfenda, and Dean. We're going to engage with our minds and our hearts. We're going to exchange ideas, thoughts, and even our energy. And to speak from your heart, you need to have courage. You need to be honest and authentic. We're not always going to get it right, and sometimes you're not going to agree with us. But that's okay, because just like you, we care. Just like you, we're passionate about the game. So if you want to come along for the ride, join us at the AFL Enjoyers podcast, because we really enjoy the footy. Hello and welcome back to another episode of the AFL Enjoyers podcast. My name is Dean. I'm joined once again by George Sfenda and James Matsa, two fellow enjoyers of the AFL. How are we going, boys?
Very good, mate. Yourself?
Pretty bad.
Been
to be
better.
honest, but yeah.
Why haven't you guys had a good time?
I think you might have an idea, man. That's a pretty
Is it got something to do with the Carlton scarf I'm wearing?
perhaps.
Potentially.
I didn't notice until now, man. Oh whoa. But yeah, we'll get to that.
The Blues are winning, mate. The Blues have got the grand final, mate.
Lids off. Oh,
That's
geez.
it. As long as you got the same umpires that you had against North, you'll be fine.
Save it for later.
Yeah, we will.
2 weeks in a row, umpires with the Blues, huh?
That's
it,
Something's
man.
happening. Is there a trend?
We'll get to it. But
Must
look,
be. Yeah.
it was an interesting round of the AFL, boys. I, for one, quite enjoyed it. There was a few ups and downs, a few upsets.
You're very optimistic, Dean.
I always enjoy the AFL. That's
bravo.
Yeah, you sold that round perfectly, mate. that
really interesting.
That
round.
Geelong Hawks game,
Oh, man, it was a
killer.
thriller.
So interesting.
Melbourne
What happened
Eagles.
after half time? I missed it. Well, look, actually, the first game, though, Lions defeated the Pies, their first loss for the year. So it started with a bit of an upset there.
Yeah, that very much was an upset, man. Who would have thought that the unbeatable looking Collingwood would eventually succumb to defeat?
They did.
Well, we tipped the Pies, but what we probably discounted was the fact that the Lions have the home ground advantage. And I saw a stat this week that said since 2019, the Lions are 41 wins and 8 losses since 2019 at the Gabba. So they just don't lose there.
That would have been useful to us last week, George. Thanks
Yeah.
for that.
Yeah, I know.
Sorry about that.
I know.
But
Gabba Fortress.
Well, the Lions have now beaten Melbourne and Collingwood at home. So at home, you just got to tip them. You got to back them in. Even the Pies, who looked unstoppable, couldn't make it happen.
And I think more evidence again that we have more viewers of the pod than we thought. Hipwood and Danaher, along with the whole Brisbane forward line,
Yeah,
responding emphatically.
that's it. A couple goals each for Hipwood and Danaher. Good on them. But then the real talking point out of that forward line was 10 goals between Rayner and Cameron.
Well, that's
Wow.
one change that Fagan's made. He's put Rayner, sort of experimented with him off half-back. He's thrown him forward and he's looking better than ever.
Yeah, he was
Absolutely unreal.
amazing. So I think they tried the half-back experiment for 2 weeks, said, nah, stuff this shit. Comes into the forward line, he's like dancing around plays, kicking it from 60. He's a freak.
Yeah,
He's a freak.
It might have been a little, let's just try to see what he's like because Richard's out. Let's give him a shot. But he's found, he's back home. He's back home in the forward line. He's just looking explosive. He's jumping up. He almost took 2 or 3 hangers.
And they've got enough off the half-back line. I'm not even sure why they bothered with that, with McKenna, Wilmot, Rich, Coleman. What was even the point of that? I don't know, but it's looking a lot better now.
Yeah, their forward line was firing. As you said, we kind of gave some slack to Danaher, especially me and Hipwood last week. And they responded just like, a lot of other, every time we call someone out, they play the game of their life. So we probably should start a new segment, pay us to shit on your team. 3 easy payments of $99 and we'll shit on your team for you and they'll perform next week. So
There you go. $270, worth it.
Well worth it, in my opinion.
Yeah, oh yeah.
is that $270?
$270. What did you say? 99
$99.
bucks times 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, $270. 90 times
99 by 3.
Yeah, 200. Look, you round it down because I'm trying to make it more, appealing to the masses.
We're going to lose money on that deal, mate, if you round it down.
Nah, just if you say 270, people just get a bit more excited.
$270 to shit on your team, it's settled.
Yeah, that's
Done.
it, man. We want that money, man. We want that money.
That's it.
We're chasing the bag.
We're absolutely chasing it. But I actually want to shout out, though, the Lions forward line as a whole. I know we just touched on it, but when you actually break it down now by name, McCarthy, Bailey, Cameron,
Yeah, great.
Rayner, Gunston, Hipwood, Danaher. It's unreal.
Danaher.
Like, that's a lot of firepower.
That is.
Now I'm starting to think, okay, if they can sort it out away from home, because we've clearly said at home they're fantastic. Top 6, top 4 is back on the cards if they can right the wrongs of the early rounds away from home.
Yeah, I think that a top 4 finish still makes sense. It's more about whether they can actually win a grand final. They'll win their games because they can win at home, but whether they're actually a premiership threat or not, when it comes to the crunch, they haven't in previous years. So, not sure whether. I guess we'll see this year whether they can or not.
Yeah, well, look, they have to win at the G at some point, and that's because if they want to win a premiership, that's the only way you can do it. So, yeah,
True.
But
And
go ahead.
I was just going to say as well, Pies wise, yeah, in terms of what went wrong there, because we've seen them play so well the first couple of weeks, and they conceded 10 goals in a row at one point in that game, which is ridiculous.
Well, they got beat out of the middle, so that's probably the first thing. Lions were really on top there. Probably Darcy Cameron being injured, having no ruck, impacted the Pies there in the midfield. So they and the Brisbane Lions played a really kind of forward heavy game. They just won it and just got it straight into the forward line, and then their smalls got to work. And if that's the case, well, if Collingwood can't transition the ball from the back line if you're just getting it in straight away and kicking goals. So you kind of stopped any momentum that Collingwood was getting, and it was just left to Nick Dacos to do all the running and the carrying himself.
Yeah, it was a bit scary. We thought he was a good player off halfback, and then when the going got tough, they threw him in the middle, and he was even better.
The kid's an absolute freak.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting. He played that game, and then there was a lot of criticism on him from on Facebook and stuff like that. He's weak or that he's getting uncontested ball. I'm not sure what there is to be negative about this guy. I mean, I get that when someone is promoted and all you hear is Nick Dacos, he can get annoying, but he deserves all the credit. He's an absolute freak. He's just a gun.
Typical media just want to knock a young player down.
Yeah,
It's
I mean,
disgusting.
he could actually be the best player in the game, and I'm not prone to making those statements about Collingwood players, especially, but he's amazing. He's amazing.
Yeah. Well, I think, look, if he was a contested beast, I think it would be unfair. Like, if he was more willing to... Let's be fair, he does shirk the contested stuff at points. Like, he doesn't lay those hard tackles, but if he did, it'd just be unfair.
But
so
I think,
thank you for settling down a little bit, Nick Dacos. Yeah.
I think he could do it. It's just I don't think that's his role to kind of do that. It's more the handball, receive, hit the target type of player.
Yeah. And look, I think a little bit of it is probably like, look, I've got to do, as you said, the outside stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not going to put myself into danger, for no reason. You know what I mean? I'm not going to just be absolutely reckless and, go for every tackle and, because, yeah, you got to go into self-preservation a little bit, because he's still young. He still has like a lot of, muscle to build and, become stronger and fitter. So.
And they've recruited Tom Mitchell for that exact reason, so he doesn't have to do that.
That's fair call, yeah.
Keep the skillful players on the outside and the contested balls on the inside. There is one player, actually, I wanted to mention from the Lions. He's not having a great year. I've got a few insiders in the Brisbane camp telling me that just watch this space, end of year, trade request.
You're talking about McCluggage?
Might have to be packing his bags, the old McCluggage.
Whoa.
He's had an indifferent start to the season.
He sure
Seems to be
has.
pushed out of the midfield by Ashcroft and Dunkley. And he looks lost out there. His skills, which huge raps on him in the first few years about his foot skills, he's just not providing anything out there.
Yeah, he's been shocking.
There you go. Is he a Victorian boy?
I think he
Yeah,
is.
he is. Yeah.
Ooh.
Watch this space.
Yeah, that's
Man,
what
I'd
I'm saying.
take him.
Oh, mate, he's your boy, man. You took him in your draft team as well.
Yeah, for a 70 average.
Got enough midfielders. You got enough midfielders at Carlton. Relax.
Yeah, nah, true. Hey, at North though, another bit more outside run. You take that, man. He just adds another element.
I've got some reliable sources, so
Well,
just
it would
watch
make
this space.
sense. because
Yeah,
you're right. His kicking's off. He doesn't look like he's interested at all. He's not getting a lot of midfield time. There's something up with him for sure. So
That's a good pickup, Dana. Good
Like
pickup. He
luggage,
has been-
packing
he has
his
been
bags
poor.
as we speak.
That's it.
packing the luggage.
Packaging the luggage, the McLuggage.
I did have one more thing I wanted to mention about this game, though.
Mm.
I don't know how you guys feel about it, but the Lions players, when they score a goal,
yeah, I hate it. I
they
don't
each
know
have
what
their
you're
own
gonna say.
song that plays. I thought that it was just a thing, but it was just because Cameron was kicking so many goals.
Yeah.
And then a different player scored, and then Frozen songs coming on, like Let It Go. Like,
Yeah.
what's happening
Let
here?
It Go is Danaher, and Country Road Take Me Home is Cameron.
Cameron.
Yeah. I don't know. To be honest with you, I actually don't mind it. I don't mind it. If the fans get into it, and if it G's up the players as well. Like if my favorite song popped up every time I scored a goal, I'd be more motivated to score.
But
goals.
it's only fun because they were winning by 10 goals at one point. Like, what happens if they're losing by 60 and then they score and a cheerful song comes on?
The problem
Yeah,
is
fair.
that you have to hear it for the whole season. Like they could change it up a bit. I don't want to hear "Let It Go" every 3 seconds.
I think it's lame, to be honest with you.
Hey, well, it's Danaher, so you're not going to hear it every 3 seconds.
You're right. You're right. Every
You'll
3
be, you'll be
games.
fine. Don't worry, bro.
Yeah, fair enough. I did have one more note here. Hodge and Daisy are woeful on commentary, but that's about it. There was no talking points there. I just wanted to mention it.
I like Daisy.
Something about Daisy, man. I just like when she says something and then everyone just cuts her off. I just want like, no, let's hear Daisy, man. I want to hear Daisy.
It's not her content. It's just her voice and Hodge's voice, for me, just monotonous.
Fair enough. They're there for legacy purposes.
Yeah.
Like I get that, but no, I don't mind Daisy. I'm
Okay.
with Georgie, but Luke Hodge, stick to butchering people on the field.
But he's there because he was Brisbane, right? So he knows the Brisbane camp.
Yeah.
He likes to commentate
True.
Brisbane games.
Yeah, I guess.
yeah,
Fair enough.
that's fair.
Okay, look, we've held off long enough. Game 2 of the round, Friday night, Good Friday appeal. Great event before we even get into the game. Lots of money raised.
Yeah.
Fantastic stuff. And good to see North generate a really big crowd at Marvel in their home game. So
Record game.
record game,
Yeah,
marquee
yeah.
match-up. So hopefully all the people saying we shouldn't have a marquee match can lay off a little bit. But I think we'll give the mic over to George to give his initial thoughts.
I reckon
on the
you
game.
guys should go first.
I don't think you want me to because I'm not going to
I
stop.
want to rebuttal you, bro.
Yeah.
I want to rebuttal you.
George has actually watched the replay, which he was bragging about. So maybe he can give his insight.
Yeah, that's it, man. That's it. Since you know so much about it.
I think that I was quite... First of all, great day at the footy. Good to go with you boys.
We always
That's
together.
it. No. It was,
So, as you said, it was packed at Marvel, 49,000. I think there's a capacity of 53, so pretty much full. And, good to go and catch a game. And I actually think it was a pretty competitive game between both teams. So, Carlton, I was never really, I never really thought we were going to lose that game. I think, James, you asked me quarter 1 whether I was nervous, and I said I would be if we're behind in the fourth quarter, which didn't happen. So, what can I say about it? I think North competed well, and it just was the better team in the end that just got on top when they needed to. I just think that's kind of a simplistic way of describing the game. You guys fought hard. I think that it's safe to say that you guys were ahead halftime on the main stats, but not efficient in front of goal, either not taking your chances, some scrubby kicks that got intercepted. Carlton was transitioning the ball, getting most of their scores from backline, marking kick type of game, which North struggles to stop. You guys were winning in the midfield, and then we just kind of got on top in the midfield and allowed our forwards to kind of be one out. Got some free kicks as a result of some sloppy things from North, and game was over.
sloppy things from North. I think that was just some sloppy things from the umpires, man.
No,
Let's
no.
be fair.
We can't make
Let's
this
be-
an umpire thing. That's not the reason why Carlton won. Carlton won because they were better. It's simple as
Look,
that.
I agree. The better team won. The better team won, and I'm not going to dispute that.
It's important to mention that from the top.
Yeah, no, of course, because that's
It's important to
we're
mention.
under no illusions that North is a better. We don't think North is a better team than Carlton.
No.
Carlton are much further along their progression. The team lineups that were out on the day would heavily favor Carlton, especially their attack versus our defense.
Yep.
But when the game is, we were 2 goals down, I believe. We were 2 goals down. Some of the umpiring decisions that happened at key moments that led directly to Carlton goals, they were dubious free kicks. They were 50-50s. They're the sort of ones that you go, it's in the forward 50, it's going to cause a goal. I'm the umpire. I don't want to be controversial. I'm going to leave it. But they gave it. They were going for it. So
Here's what I have to say about it, and I do
Yeah.
agree. Now, the talking point before the game for me was, and why I was nervous about the game, understandably, no Mackay, no Logue against 2 of the best forwards in the comp. Aiden Bonner and Aiden Coy. Both their names are Aiden. There you go. Those boys there.
didn't even. Well, there you go. The
Didn't even
Aidens.
realise that. The
There you go,
Aidens-
yeah, that kind of makes me like them a little bit more.
The Aidens were never going to stop Mackay and Kerno.
No.
So we were going into the game thinking, okay, these guys are kicking a bag, but if it's only 2 guys scoring the goals, there's still a chance to win the game. And North, like George mentioned, to halftime, we probably should have been up by maybe another goal or 2. It was
we're only up by 2 points.
we were better
Not
around the
enough.
ball. Carlton better in the air, but North was really competing a lot harder, getting more numbers around the ball. Third quarter happens. There's about 13 or 11 minutes to go, and it's still a close game. And like Matsa said, in my opinion, the umpiring gifted goals to Curnow and Mackay, who to that point probably only had a goal each. And when big forwards like that get their confidence up, and North Melbourne feels a bit of that injustice to some of those calls being a bit 50-50, like Matsa said, it just swings the momentum of the game entirely. So I'm not saying that they probably might have kicked the bag eventually anyways, but for a young team like North, already feeling that insecurity about their defence, to have these big boys get their confidence up for no reason, even De Koning marks the ball outside 50, and Zeeble pushes him as he's marking it, and it's a 50-metre penalty. Come on, mate. That wasn't a free.
I think that was one of the frees that was a bit lucky, for
It
sure.
was ridiculous, man.
I also think the Stevenson one was definitely
Stevenson ran too far. He bounced the ball twice, mate. Are you kidding
that
me?
was a wrong call. For
I
sure.
think they should make a new rule. When you bounce it twice within 3 steps, that should give you like 40 meters to run. We start
Well, and
adding
then-
it up. You know?
And then there was the Zerha getting taken.
Yeah.
He didn't even duck, mate. His head is taken off. Everyone stopped on the field. We were in the 3rd level. We could touch the roof of marble and we could see that.
Mate, JBL just came out and gave the clothesline from
All
hell,
right?
mate.
Now, and again,
like,
bring it back to what JPL. I'm just lost my head. I'm not even listening to you right now.
I'm like, come on, didn't you find that
It took
funny?
me
You're
a
like,
second.
wrestling.
He's in the zone. Let him get it out.
That's it. Go.
It's important to go back to what James first said, which was the better team did still win the match.
Yes.
But the nature of the goals, the timing of them inside the 50 arcs, and I just have a plea to the umpires. This goes for any AFL game. Just please stop giving away free kicks that lead to goals unless you're certain. Like that Zerha high tackle, you give that.
Yeah.
Little
It's
holds.
so obvious that he got.
Like there was one in the
whacked.
goal square for Curnow where Aiden Core turned his eye off the ball for 1 second before it was landing just to see where Curnow was. Then he turns around and jumps and spoils the ball, and it's a free kick in the goal square. Give the defender some benefit of the doubt. He has to turn to see where his man is at some point. But then when the ball was there to be won, he turned back around. It's
AFL
ridiculous.
royalty. Coleman medalist. We have to give it. Surely, Charlie Curnow would have marked it
and
unless it
once-
was a free kick. You know,
Correct. And once the Blues boys got their momentum, then they were marking it on the wing. They were looking incredible in the air after those couple goals. It really annoyed me. But again, look, the better team did win. North wasn't deadly enough. We couldn't get the ball moving our way. We weren't moving the ball freely in the second half.
Yeah,
So,
and we ended up making it look not too bad with junk time goals. So
and that's what I'm
you know.
actually kind of proud of, which is they didn't
Yeah.
give up. They started taking the game on more with some handball change towards the end. So fair play to North. Better team did win, but just umpires, please stop giving free kicks in the 50s unless you're going to give it both ways. I'd rather just see it not at all, to be honest.
So I agree with a lot of what you're saying.
Here's the
add
rebuttal.
I'll add some extra stuff. So first of all, you mentioned the fact that North came back at the end. I think so. Carlton got out to a 46-point lead, and then it was brought back to 23 points in lasting. I think 23 points kind of reflects more of what the game was because it was very even for the first half. It was a massive blowout of just like a flurry of goals, and then if it was 46 points, you go Carlton smashed them. 23 is a more respectable thing, so it kind of evens out kind of what the first half was. When you say about the free kicks, what I would say is, if it is a free kick, irrespective if it's in the goal square or not, you pay it.
So it has to be both ways, though. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Either pay him softly both ways,
Yeah.
or just don't pay him at all.
And
So-
why was it so harsh on the other end with the Jaden Stevenson one?
Well,
You know what I mean? Why was it so harsh against us?
Look,
That's
it-
the thing. That's where, I, as a North fan, you feel really hard done by. And I know it makes us seem one-eyed, but man, that was hard.
that was
of you.
that wasn't a free kick like that.
Yeah.
Jaden hit, but if we just look at one free kick like that, or a couple, like the ones that are noticeable that you mentioned, in your head, it's easy to go, oh, we've just been destroyed by the umpires. So what I would say is, because I did rewatch it because we won, so why wouldn't I bask in the glory, right? When you're at the game, the advantage of the game is you get to see the whole field, you get to be part of the atmosphere. The advantage of watching it on TV is you get to see the micro kind of transactions that go through the game. You get to see the little slick handball. You get to see whether it was high or not. Watching the game as objectively as I could, the majority of the free kicks were acceptable. Some of them were wrong, and I acknowledge like the Stevenson one was wrong, the Zerha one was wrong. But I don't think it was as one-sided as it seemed, even to me at the game. At the game, I was like, oh, this is interesting, right? And I agree with some of the momentum stuff, like Doherty was running into goal, and then he gets tackled from behind, but it's a trip. That stuff is lucky, but if it is technically there, it's technically there. super annoying from North perspective, but if it's there, it's there. The other thing I'll say just before is about the free kicks in the forward line. Because I've watched a lot of Charlie Curnow and Harry Mackay, the one thing I notice about these players, first of all, because they're big and kind of dominant forces, and not a lot of teams have those type of players, right? Whenever Carlton gets the ball in quickly to them and they're one out, if they don't mark it, they get a free kick. Almost all the time.
Umpires are like, wait, hang on a second.
Yeah.
He's that big and that strong. How is he not marking it?
No, it's not that. It's the fact that the technical rules of defense is if you got your arms wrapped around, you finish. If you take your eye off your ball, you're finished. If you get them high, you finish. It's very hard to be a defender, and it's almost impossible as a defender to not give away a free kick or stop the ball when the ball's coming in that quickly. So the advantage of having forwards like that, if you get the ball in quickly, to one out Curnow or Mackay, they're going to kick a goal from it. And that's just what the advantage of Carlton has. That's the technical reality of having these type of players. And that's the same thing that happened with that game in the third quarter. We were moving the ball so quickly with so much precision as well. There was times where Curnow got a kick to Curnow at the half back line, Curnow all the way to Mackay in the forward line, like 3 kicks goal. Like that's the momentum that they had. If that's the case and there's a technical free kick, umpires kind of have to pay it. Sometimes the footy can be annoying where they pay those technical free kicks that you don't feel like they're in the spirit of the game, but if they're there, they're there. And that's from watching a lot of Carlton. I notice whenever we do that, that's just the way it is.
Fair enough. Yeah, I think
that's the context.
Yeah, no, that's fair call. That's fair call. It provides a bit more understanding for us North fans.
Thanks for rewatching it on our behalf.
But
Yeah,
also
definitely.
Charlie Curnow, mate.
Oh, he's a
freak of nature.
superstar.
We'd like to say he wasn't even trying, and honestly, yeah,
Yeah, no,
it's true.
that is very true.
I did just want to say as well, Carlton fans singing their Carlton theme song well outside the stadium on the way to Southern Cross. Mate, turn it up. Come on, you beat North Melbourne in round 4.
I know, settle down.
Settle down.
They heard
You
that
know.
you guys tipped them last week and they had to let you know.
Yeah, you know,
Walk of shame.
I can't believe how much my blood was boiling because the dude who started singing it was literally like half a meter away from me. Like I honestly it took effort for me to not push him or something. I got very angry. But you know what? Despite those annoying Carlton fans, the ones that were, talking about Lockie O'Brien and how bad he is and how everything's his fault,
pretty
that
funny.
was so funny, man.
Well,
That was-
the funny thing about it is there was a harmony between Carlton and North fans that O'Brien was bad.
no.
Anytime anything happened, O'Brien, like he's not even on the ball. He's like 100
he's
meters
on
away.
the bench, he's in the rooms getting treatment. But yeah, shout out to those Carlton fans. Shout out to the Indonesian food afterwards. I'd never had it before, so I really enjoyed that.
Decent feed after the game.
Yeah, no, that was really good.
And one other thing, what is with Mackay and Mackay not versing each other? Now, I can actually confirm wholeheartedly they are different people because I've seen them both.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
They
Together?
were both eating sandwiches at a local sandwich place close to my work in the preseason. So they do exist independently of each other. But
You're in the Matrix, bro.
even though that I've seen it, I don't know. Sometimes I question it.
And the fact that they're such big boys as well, it would be such a fun matchup. We have to see it.
Yeah.
It has to happen.
That's it.
Come on, boys.
We'll get there
Get your
eventually,
shit
but-
together because it's actually Mackay of the Ben variety that's been letting us down the last couple of years. So
Yeah. Well, yeah, we've probably talked about that for like 15 minutes now.
Yeah, we should probably move on to the next game.
Yeah.
Now, the Crows, who we always tip, ironically.
We do always tip them, man.
They rewarded us again.
They're just
So
they're our boys, man.
Somehow they're our boys, even though I really don't like them deep down. But
Yeah.
you don't like any South Australian team, mate.
yeah, look, I prefer them than Power.
Yeah, he's got some South Australian prejudice.
No, I like Wine Country. They're good there.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah.
But
But
look,
to Adelaide, we had a good time there.
yeah,
Were you, did you,
I wasn't there.
you were there? Yeah, there you go. Yeah, no. Yeah. Adelaide's all right.
Well, look, the Crows look fantastic, especially forward of the ball. The defense is underrated, but I'm really loving Rankin and Thilthorpe, Taylor Walker up forward.
Rochelle as well.
Skill.
Shelley. I don't have too much to say about the game overall because Freo's just boring, mate. Like, what are they providing to the round every week, other than a loss against North, which is great? But
They seem like they don't know that you have to kick it through the goals or get it inside the inside 50 to score. They're just not interested. Their switches, they just switch the ball from the other side, then go, we'll switch back. Let's switch it back.
it's like their coach's tactics is, how can we make the game as boring as possible? And how do we score in the most boring way possible?
Well, how do you not score just at all? Their forward line's got no idea.
I think they just have to realize, how to be as boring as possible is cool, but how to win is more important. And they should, take some notes of other teams because it's not working for them so far.
100%. And couldn't shout out as well, Dawson with a monster. I know we filmed our Supercoach pod already, so check that one out. But
none of us had him, which was quite disappointing.
No one's got him, but what a game from Dawson. Biggest of the year, I believe, 173. Is absolutely massive.
20 kicks, 96 efficiency. 96% efficiency.
He won the medal last week and said, I didn't deserve this. And so he thought, I'll make it this week.
That's it. He's made up for it now.
He's made up for the medal. Also, I know I mentioned him already, but Rankin, he's the best small forward in the comp, isn't he?
At the moment, for sure.
Isn't he?
I think he is.
Yeah, he is.
He's electrifying.
Him, Charlie Cameron are up there.
Pickett as well.
Pickett, yeah. Those are the three big small forwards. They're fantastic and entertaining team.
Yeah,
Rochelle in there, another great small forward as well, comes into the midfield. Yeah,
he's playing further up the field, but looking really comfortable there. So good on him.
You can tell he's just a natural sportsman because he's played soccer, I think, when he was younger. And I feel like those type of dudes who play multiple sports, they just seem to, I don't know, the natural athletes. They just sort of
he was
adjust and just, how can you explain it?
They think differently on the field.
They do. Yeah.
He's got that soccer background actually, Rochelle.
What did I say?
Just sports in general, but
yeah. I think I mentioned soccer, but I don't know. Maybe not. But I'm pretty tired. I have no idea.
I guess still in the zone, mate. He's still thinking about Mackay and shit.
Thinking about those umpires, man. But actually, did you see Rochelle after he scored a goal? He did the Cahill punching the corner flag celebration.
Hey, that was cool.
Bit of a shout out.
That was cool. Yeah.
No, fair enough. Look, Freo, just stop being boring, and we'll talk about their games maybe more next week. Anyone else got
maybe
any other talking points, or shall we move on?
No, look, Adelaide, they're starting to repay us a bit. They had more consistent four-quarter effort, and yeah, you're right. Their forward line looks pretty dominant. So it'd be an interesting game against the Blues on Thursday night.
McElhaney.
Yeah.
McElhaney, really, really solid young player as well. We've got to give him his flowers.
Flowers for McElhaney.
Flowers for McElhaney. Is that how you say his name? I don't even know.
It is now.
McElhaney, that'll do. McElhaney.
He was an early draft pick, wasn't he? 7.
Father, son.
Oh, well, yeah,
Still top 20.
Yeah, somewhere there.
Good on him, man.
Promising young player. And Tom Duday as well. Duday, yeah. He's actually low-key very good. Very good player.
Yeah. He's always been good. It's just he always seems to get some sort of injury and, hopefully he's past all that now and he can, look forward and because he's good interceptor, good holding a player as a key defender, lockdown player. So yeah.
And we tipped the Crows just to pull it back for one moment as well. We tipped North, unfortunately,
which wasn't the most outrageous pick until the umpires.
I think,
but let's move on. Let's move on.
So to this point, we got the Pies tip wrong. We got North wrong, but we did get the Crows right. So we're 1 and 2. Then the Dogs made it 1 and 3 because they beat the Tigers, who we tipped.
Yeah.
I personally am finding it pretty hard to judge the Tigers this year because they had the opening round against Carlton, got the draw, and then it was a win in Adelaide, wasn't it? But then back-to-back wet weather games against the Pies and now against the Dogs. So I'm finding it a little bit hard to know where exactly they're at, but
still tough competition. They've had a pretty difficult.
Yeah.
They've had a very difficult first 4 weeks, so they should. I mean, I still think that they're a pretty good team. It was actually quite an interesting game. Interesting that AFL didn't call it the official name, the Mia Favola Cup, between Rioli and our favourite forward. But too stark. I shouldn't have started like that. Anyway, too stark difference in game plan in this one because it was wet weather footy, but the Tigers still played really ballistic football, a really strong transition game from the halfback, which was interesting to watch. Both teams' kicking efficiency was poor, but Tigers still managed to kick a lot of goals from just that running game, which was pretty cool to see. They had the second quarter blitz where they kicked 8 goals, which was pretty interesting. But apart from that, the Dogs were just on top. They had their tough kind of midfield forward game going, and it's a good 2 weeks from the Dogs. They kind of responded from their start, and they look like they're a pretty solid team as well.
Yeah, no, Bont really, like we were saying last week, he's become like the enforcer, which is not what he's known for. 12 tackles. Yeah, 12 tackles to him. And the other one, English, had 9 tackles and 17 kicks, which is probably like the highest for any ruckman ever.
The human pencil, 2B,
That's
all the
it,
way.
2B, HB.
Bring him to your exam.
He's another midfielder, man. He's so clean off the ground for a tall guy. For a noodle, he's pretty good, man.
And his marking was always sort of what was getting him games early, even when his body wasn't developed. But now he's just the full package, isn't he?
Yeah,
What a player.
100%. I think actually putting Treloar back on the ball in higher minutes over the last couple of weeks has helped the Dogs in the midfield. He had another 10 clearances. He's just been really strong last couple of weeks. So I think they're prioritising his time on the ball over someone like Bailey Smith, but it's obviously making a difference.
Well, I guess he's, as in Beveridge, he's learnt a few lessons similar to Chris Fagan, where you've got a player, just play to their strengths, mate. Stop trying to get cute, playing them out of position or trying to squeeze in players out of position. You've got Treloar, he's explosive. Put him on the ball where he's always showing his best skills and just go with it. Same with Rayner going forward.
Sorry, Joey, you didn't see what was on my screen for a sec there. Because I got a little surprise later. You didn't see it. You didn't see the player who just popped up on my screen.
No, is it something to do with what I said?
No. It's all good. It's all good. We'll get to it later. No spoilers.
All good. But yeah, look, for me, I think the Tigers are a top 8 team, but they're going to have to start winning some games. Unfortunately for them, probably one of the hardest fixtures to start the season in terms of the rain and the conditions they've been playing in. But
we've just been told Nan Curvis is injured as well for a couple of weeks, so it's going to affect their midfield. I mean, they got smashed by the Dogs in clearances, despite bringing in Hopper and Taranto. That didn't work for them this week. But Nankervis out doesn't help him either. He's a kind of a really forceful, really physical ruckman. I'm not sure who they replace him with.
Well, I was actually just looking. You were saying that they had a really hard draw. Their next 2 weeks are Sydney, Melbourne.
Well, that's wild.
Yeah, that is wild. But then the next 2 are the coast teams, West Coast and Gold Coast. So at least it's 2 wins, 2 losses. That's how you draw it up.
We probably shouldn't judge them too harshly till the bye maybe to see where they're at.
Yeah, I agree. And fair play to the Dogs, as mentioned. Libba was immense as well. He was, if anyone's going to thrive in a wet weather game, it's Libba. And he delivered. So good on them and good on Libba.
He delivered.
Let's move on after that. Jeez.
Oh, Tom Lynch injured as well.
Oh yeah, actually, we should mention that Tom Lynch.
They've got some injury troubles, don't they?
And he was suspended as well, wasn't he? Now, so
I think
suspended and
so.
injured. How does that work? Does he get suspended after he's
No.
No, he just serves it while he's injured.
Wow,
Loophole.
Yeah, that is, man. That is.
that's a cheeky loophole.
I think I'd do that if I got injured. Just say, guys, leave me out for 5 seconds. Let me just clock this guy quick.
Jeez.
And
That's actually not a bad strategy.
yeah, because then you're gonna be out. You might as well take out. If this was like round 23,
If you pull the
And-
hammy and you know it's a 4-week hammy,
yeah.
strike someone for 4 weeks, man.
All right, that's it, man. You got to get him good, Bart. You got to get him real good.
Not Barry Hall level, but like a picket bump to Bailey Smith at
Picket
least.
bump.
That's a bigger bum, man.
Well, you just you launch yourself from the ground.
Yeah.
There you
Oh,
go.
you're talking about the pick. I think you're talking about Byron Pickett. Or you're talking about the missile.
Matt's is throwing it back to the.
I'm
Dogs.
throwing it back because I know Byron Pickett. He was a savage.
I'm
back
talking
in the
about
day.
round 1, mate, where
Mate.
he just launched himself, knocked off Bailey Smith.
Ralph Wiggum style.
Yeah, 100%.
I love that.
Love that,
I
love that.
love that. Honestly, still the best moment of the year so far.
Yeah. I'll tell you what though, bit of a transition. Maybe some people that won't agree with best moment of the year. Saints beating the Suns, going clear top, the only team to not draw or lose a game. So the true undefeated team. The Saints marching on, another win against the Suns.
Very impressive, mate.
The Saints are coming.
I mean, Gold Coast are just trash. Let's be honest.
The game was pretty competitive for half and a bit, but the Saints just blew them away in the second half completely. Jack Higgins has kicked 5 back-to-back bags. Mitch Owens, what a performance for him. Not just a goal threat, but around the ground.
He's been great all year. He's only had been 11 or 12 games, so he's really performing. Tall kind of player, really good above his head.
It's a physical specimen.
Yeah, he's a guy. Matt's his favourite.
He
Michito.
is Michito Owens. Yeah. He's randomly become my favorite player from there. Caminiti, 2 goals again. Nice little feel good story there. The midfield again, Crouch and what's his name, Job's cousin, Seb Ross getting
Ross.
those numbers. Yeah, no, just credit to him.
Just a well-drilled team that applying the pressure and not losing games that they should lose. So
They're playing with a lot of confidence
Yeah.
as well. Like some of those guys you mentioned are still finding their feet in the league.
and there's so many players to come back in.
Unbelievable. There was someone I did want to give some flowers to, and I haven't given flowers in a few weeks, if you haven't noticed.
Yeah, you've been quite
I've been quite on
hesitant
flowers.
on your
Yeah.
flower giving. Yeah,
The garden's not been watered in a while, but
yeah. No, maybe it was because after Valentine's Day, we ran out of flowers
ran out
to
of
give.
flowers.
Yeah,
But Cal Wilkie.
yeah.
And you know what? I wrote this down before I realised he's going to be a guest on the couch. Not this couch. He wishes. He's going to be a guest on the Fox Footy couch.
There you go.
So there you go. They're taking notice. I had already written that note.
He's
But-
a very good player.
24 disposals, 11 marks, 5 tackles. And when you watch the games, you realise he just intercepts. He's tough on the ball, a great leader in defence. And for all their great, exciting attacking play this year, the Saints, their defence has been really good.
He's what Jaron Geary wishes he was.
Yeah,
Let's be fair.
he's been incredible. Look, from the Suns' point of view, disappointing for them. They beat the Cats last week. Couldn't follow it through with a slightly more competitive game, but they're just the same old Suns, aren't they?
They play good footy for as long as they can, a quarter and a half, and then they just get blown out. Their good players play good. Anderson's in good form. Miller always plays well. They didn't have Wits, so they actually had a debutant Ned Moyle play.
Oh, yeah?
And 35 hitouts for the guy. No one's even heard of this guy, but comes in, actually played all right against Marshall. But
He was putting monster numbers in the VFL.
Oh, was he?
Or
Okay.
They call it the VFL now, don't
Yeah,
they?
they're part of the VFL.
Yeah. Mm.
Fair enough. I think we're out of talking points on that game because the Suns
Yeah,
just
yeah,
don't
nah.
give us much.
That's it.
But the next game was a very interesting game, especially the ending. It's probably the funniest ending to an AFL match I've ever seen. The Swans losing to the Power. Thanks very much, Sydney.
I know, man.
Based
I
on
know.
last week, you knew how much I needed that Port loss, and you've just botched it.
I know. Oh.
But George, talk us through that ending, mate.
mate, it was so Charlie Dixon, right? He kicks the ball to I can't remember which Sydney player, and he kicks it over his head by like 15 meters, and they pay that at 50 because you meant to deliver it directly to the person. I don't reckon it was intentional. Just maybe he just can't kick. Anyway, so Sydney get the goal, and Charlie Dixon goes into the middle to make amends and monsters it. Like he picks the ball. He's got like 6 blokes on him. He runs through the midfield. He kicks it forward. It's like the most heroic thing you've ever seen. And then Finlayson manages to kick a goal from it and then front. And then Port's like, oh, we should win this. Let's do it. Rosie kicks it into the back line. Right? So he's just done a kick. Boom. See ya, mate. And then Rampy goes and picks it up. And in 2 kicks, they kick the ball to Heaney in the middle and Heaney to Florent. So they've just gone from length to length in 2 kicks.
Florence 45 out on about, would you say a 45-degree angle? Somewhere
Yeah,
there.
45 degree, about 40 meters out.
Yeah.
He's had an amazing game, and
Yeah.
he's about to top it off, win the game, get the 3 votes. He kicks it right through the middle, and it doesn't go over the line. Florence celebrated early.
Chad Warner's jumped on him.
No, it was not Chad Warner, it's Dylan Stevens.
Oh, Dylan Stevens.
They're all the same.
Mate,
all the same.
they're all just blondies.
Yeah, that's it.
They're like making out on the ground, like dry humping each other, like it's the greatest moment of their life. And then halfway through, awkwardly look back and go, why isn't everyone else celebrating with me? Because they lost, mate.
Even Cal Mills is on the goal line,
Yeah.
arms in the air, leaves the goal line.
He already got his
Alira-
Instagram out. He's taking photos of the
Alira
win.
Leah then jumps where he should have been standing, shepherding with the bat.
Oh, man.
Sydney, man.
And the crowd, like, completely silenced.
You know what it is? Maybe Cal Mills thought Alira is still a Sydney player.
Yeah, could be.
Maybe that's why. And he just thought, oh, Alira's going to leave it. But then he's like, oh, wait. Wrong jumper.
It's so funny as well because understandably everyone thought if it's on target, it's in because you're 40 out, mate.
Mate, it was a perfect kick. It looked like a perfect kick.
And Florence got a bit of a long kick on him. The distance should never have been a problem with that kick. So I can understand a bit of the confusion, but the early reaction was just quality, mate. I'll tell you what, though. Sydney had a lead in that game. First quarter, Port didn't kick a goal. Sydney's up by about 4 goals on 2 occasions. The second time, maybe not quite, but very disappointing.
Yeah, they should win that game. They're
How do
2
you
and
lose that
2
game?
for a team that we thought were like perfection. They haven't dominated the start of the year, and Port at the same time won some really good games and had some really bad performances as well. So not really sure what to make of these teams. Just how good they are. They're obviously good, but how good we don't know.
And there was something I did want to mention as well. McCartan, Paddy McCartan, unfortunately, another concussion. I actually watched the incident again. It was really innocuous.
Just place his head against the ground.
Yeah, any other player, I think, would have been okay with that. But it goes to show something's not quite right with his history there. I hope he's okay, but honestly, if he's going to be getting concussed that easily, it's not looking good for his future, unfortunately.
Well, both McCartans got concussed that game, which is pretty crazy.
And just one more quick talking point. I'm not sure if you saw this one, but Dan Houston got done for a deliberate rush behind. And we haven't seen this in a while, but I don't know about you guys. I'm very confused about this rule now because players now, if they're under pressure, can sort of run it over the line and get away with it most of the time.
It's like if it's within the goal square, that sort of area, and there's sufficient pressure.
I've got to be honest with this incident here. It was maybe only 5% more obvious than usual, and they gave it. And again, leading to a goal, umpires. You know how much I dislike that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Something to keep an eye on, but one of those was paid probably for the first time this year, interestingly.
Yeah, they don't. It's weird how certain rules, like that one specifically,
It goes away for a bit.
It does. It does. It comes and goes, and I kind of want that one to stay away. To be honest with you, I don't
like that rule much either.
Yeah, I think you're really what's it called? You're really rewarding the team for a tiny little, cheeky
Big
rush
punishment.
behind.
Goals
yeah,
are a
it's huge.
big
It's a huge punishment
under a lot of
rather
pressure
than a
as well.
reward, yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
The other one I don't like, just on the topic, is the insufficient intent one. If it just goes over the boundary line, it's insufficient intent these days.
Yeah, you can see when the ball's coming off the side of the boot. You know if it's a bad kick. Like it's hard to fake a bad kick out of a pack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
That needs to be revisited by the AFL, by Gill or whoever does that.
I agree. And I'll tell you what, some Bombers players showed a bit of insufficient attempts to kick a goal because their accuracy was horrendous. They did get the job done, the Bombers.
Yeah, they did.
We tipped them, so well done on delivering on that tip for us.
We tipped Bombers?
We did, didn't we?
That's not like us.
Well, I did. I can't remember what you guys
I think we went with GWS, man.
I think we did Giants as well.
Oh, you guys, mate. No faith in the Bombers. How dare you?
Well, we've been harsh on the Bombers, but they still
say
keep,
some good things.
They
then.
still keep.
Go, say some good
they're
things.
third on
Dean.
the ladder, man. They're third on the ladder. The Bombers.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. Jake Stringer was back with a bang. 4 goals, 6 behinds.
There's the inaccuracy you're talking about.
That's it.
One of his goals, when the game was in the balance, credit to him, was a running barrel from about 55 out, from a 45-degree angle. So unorthodox, but very entertaining. The Giants, they're sort of always in the game, but something about them is just really up and down within the 4 quarters.
I guess a new coach, and he's not like an experienced coach who can just, like we've seen the new coaches who have been experienced have just come in and just really positively impacted their clubs. But those newer ones, man, they take their time. They really take the time to imprint their method of playing onto the team. Well, it just hasn't hit yet.
It was close for most of the game, and then Essendon kind of blew away in the last quarter. And then when the game was done, the Giants kind of came back just because they were playing free-flowing footy. It's interesting that kind of like North as well against the Blues, when the game was kind of like done or on the balance and they have no choice but to take the game on, they actually start scoring. So if they could actually play like that, and I think Kingsley was part of the Richmond system where they kind of play a more aggressive style anyway. So that's probably where the Giants want to get to at some point.
So that's what we've got to look forward to, I guess.
Well, if they can get to that, they have the talent.
That's what I was going to say.
They're rebounding sort of players as well. Ash, Whitfield, it should bode nicely with that game style.
Yeah, it's quite a bit of experience on that list, so that's why I'm pretty surprised at their ups and downs within each game. But I will say as well, just shout out Mason Redman. Bit of redemption for Redmond this week. He was very poor. Gave away a few early goals last week,
and he gave a free kick away for a goal this game as well, I think.
Yeah, but he made it up. He scored 1 from 50 himself, so he balanced that out. He had a pretty dominant game. I think the Bombers, when they're playing confidently, when they're moving the ball forward quickly, guys like Merritt, Stringer, Redmond, Ridley, they can look quite good. So, well done to the Bombers. But consistency is the key for them. We'll see how they go against better opposition as well.
Yeah, they still haven't faced like a really strong team yet to kind of see where they're at on that level. But I would say that if Stringer can play to that level, then he's a massive X factor player.
Yeah, you can't be that inaccurate at Marvel. I'm sorry, just come on. That's ridiculous, mate. And then the Eagles lost to Melbourne. We tipped Melbourne, obviously. Eagles hit by a lot of injuries.
That was my no of the week.
It was. You got it right.
I got my no right this time.
Go,
man.
Matsa.
I got my no right.
Good on you, mate. Well, look, I didn't write too many notes for this game because there's not much to talk about. It was a probably the most obvious game of the round. Petrarca, 3 goals, 30 touches. He's notable when he's kicking goals and getting a lot of the ball. The Demons are a lot better side. Grundy, solo rock.
Yeah, he played 70% of the game, so he didn't even play the full game, but he still made his impact known.
I think West Coast are trying. I think West Coast are trying, but they're just not good enough. They don't have enough. Like they've got the injuries, it doesn't help either. They're trying to move the ball, more freely. There was a couple of nice passages, but they were never going to win that game.
Yeah.
Nah, yeah.
And then the last game of the round was the Cats v the Hawks. I was outnumbered in my tip of Hawthorn, but I was actually thinking, geez, I'm looking like a genius at halftime.
George's no.
Yeah, that was George's no of the week, was the Cats winning. I was thinking, man, I'm a genius at halftime. The Hawks are looking fantastic. And then I stopped watching, so what happened? Can you guys just...
I think Geelong kicked 11 goals straight.
Oh, okay. Whoops.
It's funny because I was watching that first little part, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to prepare to like just berate Geelong's midfield, and then I couldn't in the end. So,
unfortunately.
after I know, and I really wanted to, say Dangerfield's past it and this and that, but I can't now. Mitch Duncan was big for them. His return, you can just see the impact he makes, because he's moving around that half-back area, just providing an option to link up, and that's a big end. I mean, also Jeremy Cameron's having a ridiculous season.
He's the best player in the comp at the moment.
Yeah, we're giving him the florist, mate. We're giving him
again. He's getting
all the flowers for Jezza.
When it was even, he was like the only player like keeping him in it. Like he's just a freak.
Yeah.
And even, winning the ball up the ground and the amount of times he delivered it to the chest of his teammate as well. He's unstoppable. So he's almost like in career best form.
Yeah, it just clicks me right now. But like, because I don't know any GWS fans, because we live in Melbourne, right? Who's going to be a GWS fan? If you're a GWS fan, you must feel so sick watching Geelong every week and Jezza Cameron, your boy. That's we probably thought Kelly was the best player from GWS for a while. From that sort of the early GWS days. It's not. It's Jezza.
Good point, because they haven't been the same since he left.
No.
So,
well, Geelong wouldn't have won the flag without him.
Correct. Very true. And speaking of those 10 or 11 goals that they scored in a row, the Cats, I want you guys to have a guess now. What was the score in the second half? So just imagine they started the match at halftime. What do you think the score was?
All right. So
I can have a look.
I'll tell you. I'll just tell you.
Yeah,
You've
go.
got no
Yeah.
guess
So
off the top of your head.
70-6?
100-9
Oh wow.
was the score in the second half of that game. So absolute domination from Geelong.
Can you imagine the percentage if that was the entire game?
You would imagine my shock after stopped watching the game at halftime. I was like, whoa, what's going on here? I did want to say as well, there's going to be a talking point this week with Ned Reeves' ruck work, his ruck craft.
With the knee.
Specifically his knee tactics.
His knee tactics, yeah.
He is so tall, and instead of just jumping up and tapping the ball, he's literally just raising his knee into the ribs of the opposing ruckman.
Yeah.
And he injured, I believe it was...
It was blitz-ups.
Was it blitz-ups?
It was blitz-ups, yeah. You're probably going to be confused because Reece Stanley copped a hit like that in round 1.
Correct.
And they brought that up on the broadcast.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I wouldn't have thought of it. So...
so there you go.
Yeah.
Just thought I'd mention that. So keep an eye on Ned Reeves' knees next week.
Yeah, I don't think you can get a suspension for that, but...
He'll be put on notice.
Yeah, for sure. Because if he does it again, and if he was to do it this week specifically, I think it'd be like, look, this is... At what point is that, rough what's it called? Rough contact, whatever they call it. What's the one where it's like you didn't mean to do? Careless contact. Careless contact. Yeah, it really is because he's trying to protect himself, but it's careless.
Yeah. It's not a football act, really.
No.
But if you go for a mark, you can stick your knee into their back.
Speckies, though.
There's different knee.
If you mark it, you can do whatever you want to
Speckies are cool, though. Ruckman's not cool.
I think it's different when it's going into the ribs and going into your back. I think that's what it is. And that's where the injuries have been caused.
Fair enough.
As in the ribs from the front, not the back ribs.
I think you can rib them wherever you want if you take a mark.
Yeah.
That's the loophole in football.
Yeah, just take a mark.
If you take a mark, you can kick them in the face. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, true. Unless you're Toby Green, because then they watch.
Yeah, then you get suspended for 6 weeks.
Karate kick Green.
Okay, well, look, let's look ahead to... Actually, before we do that, sorry, boys.
Yeah.
Tips, just quickly. We had a horrendous week. We'll go through it one more time.
We haven't had a good week. We should start tipping properly.
Collingwood wrong, so
All this
Owen...
North versus Carlton shit, mate.
Hey, relax.
Let's tip properly.
Collingwood 0-1. We got North wrong, 0-2. Adelaide right, 1-2. Richmond wrong, 1-3. St Kilda right, 2-3. Sydney wrong, 2-4. Essendon wrong,
I'm pretty sure 2-6. Wait,
2-5. Sorry,
2-5.
Melbourne right, 3-5. Geelong right, 4-5.
That's pretty bad.
So it balanced out a little bit at the end there, but geez,
I think 4 is our average, so
All right, we should actually
very,
start.
very
We
consistent.
should start trying now. So here we
Yeah.
go. Adelaide hosting. And
Oh,
all matches are in Adelaide this week, but there are some differences in ground, so I will mention that because
this
it
is
might
a
be
hard
important.
one. This first one, honestly.
Adelaide hosting Carlton at Adelaide Oval on Thursday night.
So what I would say, now one thing we didn't mention is Harry Mackay got banned for one game against knocking Sheasel.
Dog act on Sheasel.
No,
Yeah, that's him, man.
it
Leave,
was
leave that boy.
it was classified as medium contact, and I think that there's a world where that gets let off as a fine.
It's
as a
Carlton,
North
yeah.
as a North supporter, that's a hard narrative to sell.
But as a Carlton supporter,
It's Carlton, so
throw
he's
the paycheck at him, mate.
That's true.
it's Carlton, so he's going to get off. Yeah.
So if Mackay doesn't play, that is obviously massive
It
for the
is,
game. But if he can get off, Walsh comes back for the first time this year. Kennedy comes back. Akers comes back.
So maybe Doherty goes back and starts playing some good super.
Doherty will go back and start playing proper football. Jack Martin is also available. So potentially, if Mackay plays and all goes well, it's probably the strongest lineup that Carlton has had for a long time. All 5 of their big mids in as well. That's their strongest team.
You've sold me. You've sold me. To
That's
be honest
it.
with you.
Other than Zach Williams, that's their strongest team that they can put forward.
But
pretty
is there
much.
a chance that all those guys coming back are just a little bit underdone?
So Akers and Kennedy only missed 1 or 2 weeks. Should be all right. Jack Martin, we never know what we're going to get from him. Walsh, we're back in Walsh.
So I'm
Yeah.
assuming you're going Carlton.
I'm going to go Carlton as well.
It's a bit tough because I don't know if Mackay's playing or not. He's a big out if he's not playing because then everyone knows we're going to Kerno.
Yeah.
Well,
Or De Koning.
Yeah.
So we got Carlton.
I'm going to go with Carlton as well. You sold me. As long as Mackay plays, we're going Carlton. But
I, for
we gotta
one, I wasn't that impressed by Carlton, to be honest with you. So, and no, truthfully, I think Adelaide's forward line is much more deadly at the moment than North. So you got to be careful. I'll go Adelaide, home team momentum,
Yep.
but very close. I'll say Adelaide by a goal.
Adelaide's forward line is really strong. Carlton's back line has really performed this year.
They have, yeah.
So it's more midfield battle.
I was gonna say, here's another tough one, man. The next
Yeah.
game, both teams are so meh.
Freo hosting the Sun. So there's no home ground advantage
And
here.
yeah, they're both terrible in Adelaide.
They're both terrible, and no one has the home advantage. So it really can go either way.
If anything, Fremantle are closer to Adelaide. You know what I mean? Like, it's, 3 hours from Gold Coast?
You know what? I'm going Gold Coast. Freo is just bad this year. At least Gold Coast has shown that on their day they can play some good footy.
Yeah.
You know what? No, I'm gonna go with you. I'm gonna go with the Suns.
Suns, baby.
Suns, baby.
All
Let's
right.
go.
So we
And
got-
we said we wanted to get better at tips.
Look, Freo should win that game, but hopefully Witts is back. If Witts isn't back, that has a big impact as well.
True. Okay, so Richmond hosting the Swans, Adelaide Oval for what that's worth. I think Sydney's had 2 very disappointing games in a row, but so has Richmond. They've lost 2 in a row. Sydney's lost 2 in a row.
Both teams need to respond.
They need to respond.
So,
The only thing I'll say is if Tom Witch isn't playing and Nankervis isn't playing, and Sydney's a strong outfit.
Sydney's rucks aren't that great though. Anyway,
yeah,
but-
but you know the thing is, Latham seems to have random good games. You know, he'll get that random
he plays-
150 in Supercoach, even
Yeah.
though he's not a good ruck. I'm gonna go with Sydney.
Yeah, I think Sydney.
Better team. I'm going with Sydney.
yeah, I think Sydney's a better team.
Yeah,
I'll go
there's
Sydney as
There's
well.
that one.
Brisbane and North.
Brisbane.
So I'm looking at this one, and it's 8 versus 9th, which is, you know, we're 9th. They're 8th.
This is
It's not that big. It's not that big a gap.
every round, mate. Every round.
And but the thing is, as I was saying earlier with the Fremantle thing, even though we ended up tipping against them, we're close. Like North Melbourne to Adelaide is about an hour. You know, specifically North Melbourne to Adelaide, not Melbourne in general. And Brizzy, it's quite a trip. It's quite a trek. Those guys are going to be tired. I'm thinking North Melbourne. I'm going to go with North Melbourne for this week.
Mate, if you want to win the tips,
So here's the thing though, honestly. You've just spoken about all of Carlton's ins. We've got Mackay most likely coming back this week and Griffin Logue.
Mm.
So there goes Brisbane's forward line. Now, look, in all honesty, teams have responded.
Isn't it ironic that your Mackay, or Harry, Harry's going to be out this week and Ben Mackay comes back in?
Mate,
It's not ironic. It's just
Mythbusters.
they're the same person.
That's it.
Even though I've seen them individually together, I still think they might be the same person.
Matrix, bro. Matrix.
Well, look, here's the thing, though. So you've gone Brisbane. Matsa's gone North. I'm going to play a little reverse psychology here. Okay, so every time that we tell the team they're not good enough, every time we tell them they need to turn it up, they respond. So you know what, North? I'm tipping Brisbane. Okay.
North is paying us $270.
No one's paying me anything. I'm just me and Clarko are in regular contact.
Maybe it was me who paid him.
Okay.
I don't know.
Clarko's going to show this pre-game. He's going to get up the North players and tell them, you know what? Did you watch these boys on the Enjoyers say that we're no chance? So Brisbane by 50.
You tell him, Clarko. You tell him.
I'm fine with
Reverse
that.
psychology.
I'm fine with
All
that.
right. That's very mature of you, Dean, to be honest with you. That was hard. That's hard to take. Next game, Essendon versus...
Just to be clear, I think North's going to win, but I'm just doing reverse psychology
Oh,
so
okay.
that they make sure that they win.
Okay. But officially, our tip is it's officially going to be Brisbane. But
Brisbane, in quotation marks.
yeah.
Brisbane
Anyway,
travel. They can't travel, right?
Okay, so
Essendon, Melbourne.
Essendon, Melbourne. I'm going to go Melbourne.
Melbourne.
Yeah, Melbourne. Let's not overthink that one.
Port hosting, and this is a true hosting,
A true
the
host.
Doggies. Look, Port's inconsistent, so I'm going to go the Dogs.
I
Not
just
because
don't-
I have a vested interest in the top 10 pick that they're going to give us.
Yeah, no, I'm with you exactly on that one, Dean. I'm going with the Doggies.
I'm going Port because it's their home advantage, and they've played some good footy at home. I mean, they smashed Brisbane round one. They can still play some good footy. They just beat Sydney. Bulldogs have been better last couple of weeks, better around the midfield, but I think Port.
You're outnumbered,
will win.
though, so too bad.
We're coming up to my... Actually, I feel like I'm just making...
Change your tip. Change your tip.
I feel like I'm just making fun of West Coast at this point, but this is my NAW now of the week. It's got to be Geelong.
You might have to go out on a limb at some point and not tip against the Eagles for
No,
your no.
no. Look, after my initial blunder with the no comment,
Yeah, Cats are going to smack them up.
yeah,
Giants and the Hawks. Hawks showed something in the first half. Obviously, embarrassing second half, but Geelong was 0-3. They needed that win desperately, so we can't be too surprised.
yeah, G-Dub.
G-Dub.
Um,
Don't need to say anything.
that's it.
Yeah, all right, fine, G-Dub.
Come on, man.
And the last game should be
Oh,
very interesting.
ugh.
Adelaide Oval, Collingwood and the
Ugh.
Saints. Very interesting. The Saints now, if they win this game and go
Lead
5-0,
is absolutely off. If they
and
win.
understandably so,
Yeah.
top 4 is almost like given if you
Well,
go 5-0.
If they beat the Pies, and then they're going to get players like Jack Steele, Max King, Membry, and everyone else that's coming back as well. Yeah, it has to be. Too well coached, but I think Pies will win.
Yeah, I'm going with the Pies.
I'll go the Pies too,
Yeah,
but I really hope this game lives up.
yeah,
it's a
that
close
would be
game.
really cool.
I'm kind of annoyed that it's in Adelaide, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm sure the Collingwood and Saints fans are as well. To
The
be
Collingwood
honest with
fans would definitely be if it's the MCG.
you.
They don't want to play them at the MCG.
Should be interesting this round with this whole Adelaide business. I did have something I wanted to bring up right before the pod ends, actually.
Yeah.
I'm not sure
So
if you
did I,
guys are
yeah.
aware. Lee Montagna has this thing on the variety of talk shows that he's on where he claims that after a certain amount of time of the year, the top 8's set. It's usually a little bit later down the line, but I'm going to beat Joey Montagna to it. And I'm going to say, out of the top 8 teams currently, there's 2 spots up for grabs. The rest are locks.
So read
Okay.
it out.
Saints,
Yep.
lock them in.
Lock. Yeah,
Yep.
Carlton, lock them in.
Yep.
lock.
Melbourne, lock them in.
Mm-hmm.
Essendon, no.
No.
So that's 1 spot up for grabs.
Yep.
Collingwood, lock them in.
Yep.
Lock.
Sydney, lock them in.
Lock.
Mm-hmm.
Adelaide, up for grabs.
Yeah.
Brisbane,
enough.
lock them in.
Yeah, you got to lock him in.
So Joey Montagna, I've beaten you to it, mate. There's only 2 more spots left for the 8.
Heard it here first.
I think, I think it's between 3 teams for those 2 spots.
Mm.
The Dogs, the Tigers, and the Cats. I'm
So not Port.
ruling out North. I'm ruling out Port. Nah, mate. I'm ruling out the Dockers, the Giants, the Eagles, the Suns, and the Hawks.
Yeah, so I think Docker's definitely out. They were top 8 last year. Definitely, you can't back him in at this point. Cats should build their way into the season.
they're 1 win out of the 8 now. Like, they're right there.
I think Essendon won't make the 8, but I think Adelaide definitely could.
So all I'm saying is it's up for grabs, those 2 spots. I think the rest are locks, though.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, no, fair call.
Okay.
Well said.
So
There we go.
replace Joey Montagna with me on first take. First crack.
Montaigne's good. David King's the one that needs to be replaced, I reckon.
I love Kingy, mate. All right. So, boys, I think that's all I had to say this week.
I was going to say, I just want to do a little something different.
Yes.
Something different. I've sort of come up with the idea because sometimes I'll hear a random player's name and I'll be like, oh, that guy, I remember him. He was cool. Right. So here's just a little thing of guess the player. Ooh. And we're going with players who were prominent players. We know who they are, but since they've retired, we've just forgotten that they exist. So I've got a couple. I'll start off with one. All right.
I'm nervous.
Which
now.
makes
Yeah,
sense. You got to start somewhere. All right. So this young fella, well, not so young anymore. He's retired in 2020. He was drafted by the West Coast Eagles. All right. He's 32 years old right now.
Ben Cousins.
Ben Cousins? No. So he's 30. Ben Cousins is much older than 32. So this is 32. I'm just going to... This is a funny one. His nickname is Mega Egg. So I don't know.
Was he a one-club player with the Eagles?
No. Ask me questions.
Okay, so he's retired 2 or 3 years... So 2020, 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Drafted by the Eagles. Where did he go?
Where did
or is
he
that
go?
Too much of a hint.
He went 2-club player or 3-club player?
2-club player.
So he's gone to one other club from West Coast.
Quinton Lynch.
Quinton Lynch? No.
He retired way earlier.
It was a cool... I like the guess anyway, just because... good, yeah, but no. He moved to South Australia.
Ooh.
So it's Adelaide or Port?
I think Port. Port took a few Eagles players at one point, didn't they?
Probably. There's a chance.
Is it Port?
I'm not... Oh, yeah, all right, it's Port. Yeah, we'll go. It's Port. So West Coast...
So someone from Port that retired a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mate, we don't watch Port games.
No.
Hey, do you hear me on the pod every week?
Yeah, you know this player. You know this player quite well.
What position did he play?
He was a midfielder.
Oh.
There's a lot of family ties.
I've got it on the tip of my tongue. I just can't remember his name.
I've got
He
no
was
idea.
like
You got
Brad
no
Ebert.
idea? Brad
Yes.
Ebert. It was Brad Ebert.
Brad Ebert.
Yeah, see,
Did he go to West Coast? Oh, you're right.
He was drafted by West Coast,
Yeah.
and then he went to Port.
He was a good player.
Yeah, no, he was, man. See how you hear names like that and it just G's you up a little bit?
Yeah, it's
Wait,
massive.
I think I might have remembered his last game. Is that where he had like the bandage all over him?
Probably.
Oh,
he
I
was
can't
one of
remember.
those
It was like
hard
blood-
in and
yeah,
under
he had-
players. And you know, I don't think it says here he was never an All-Australian, but he was such a prominent player though.
There
We
you
all
go.
knew Brad
I like
Ebert
this
was.
as a segment. Let's leave it to one per week, I reckon.
Yeah, sounds good. I've got next week prepared and ready to go, so it's cool.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I think that does it for this week. Thanks everyone for watching. Be sure to subscribe. We're on the road to 100 subs at the moment, so
I can race McQuery.
yeah, remember
That's
that.
it, that's
If
it.
we get 100 subs, George is racing McCreary. So I mean, he's already agreed to it, McCreary. So
Yeah, contract signed. So
just waiting on the sub. So it's
Signed,
it's
sealed,
up to you
delivered.
guys. It's up to you guys. So make it happen. Yeah, give us a like and sub on YouTube. 5 stars on Spotify. I've got all the socials. Twitter, Facebook now has been created, so look out for that.
Yeah.
And yeah, we'll see you on the next one. Thanks very much.
Sounds good. See you
Thanks,
guys.
guys. Bye.
Bye bye.